country realized that the war would be a much longer affair than many had first expected, lawmakers on both sides began to adjust the pay of the soldiers. The pay of Union privates jumped from $11 to $13 a month in 1861, and it eventually reached a peak of $16. Meanwhile, a private in gray saw his pay raised from $11 to $18 a month. At the time this increase took effect, in much of the Confederacy, a pair of shoes might cost $125, and coffee, which was hard to find in the first place, cost about $12 a pound.
We have the conversion for now. The boots would now cost $2,300, which is 9,000% inflation.
Oh.
And the coffee would be $221 a pound, which is 80% inflation.
Now you understand why routinely stripping the dead was a very common practice. You had to do that to survive. So, I do have 3 or 4 more interesting facts. We're very nearly done. Do you want to hear a few more interesting facts?
Yes.
Yes? All right. March 9th, 1862 brought the clash between ironclads that experts say changed the history of naval warfare by making wooden vessels obsolete. During the 4 hours of fighting, the experimental vessels used up all of their available firepower against each other. So many direct hits were scored that when approaching darkness caused the duel to end for the day, commanders of both vessels suffered under the same misconception. Captain Franklin Buchanan was convinced that his Virginia had inflicted mortal damage on the Monitor, and Captain John Warden was positive that his Monitor had put the Virginia out of commission. Post-battle inspections showed that neither of the vessels was gravely damaged at all. Confederate Brigadier General R.E. Colston observed the March 9, 1862 Monitor Merrimack battle from a vantage point only a few hundred yards away. He and a great number of people from the neighborhood soon found themselves bewildered. According to Colston, the cannonade was visibly raging with redoubled intensity, but to our amazement, not a sound was heard by us from the commencement of the battle. A strong March wind was blowing direct from us toward Newport News. We could see every flash of the guns in the clouds of white smoke, but not a single report was audible. At Lootka, Mississippi, Union Major General William S. Rosecrans described himself as being profoundly disappointed at hearing nothing from the forces on the Burnsville Road, where a battle was raging at a distance of about 2 miles. Only a few miles away, Major General E.O.E.C. Ward and his staff waited impatiently. They had received orders from Ulysses S. Grant that directed them to join the federal forces at Iuka. Grant was quite specific, however. No movement was to get underway until officers heard the firing that would signal an assault by forces under Rosecrans. Ward heard nothing and did not move. In his September 19, 1862 report, Ward noted that we didn't hear any sounds of the battle past the p.m. Some analysts have concluded that a brisk wind blowing from the north, combined with the lay of the land, created a pocket of silence that prevented sounds of the furious fighting from reaching the site at which Ward's division was encamped, which again was only 2 miles away. This phenomenon has been called the acoustic shadow and was reported at a fair amount of Civil War battles, at times taking some blame for the outcome. And the last one? On September 18, 1861, the steamers War Eagle, White Cloud, and Des Moines set out on an expedition designed to show the flag to Southern sympathizers in Missouri. Fighting men aboard the rivercraft were from the 18th, the 22nd, and the 26th Indiana regiments. One contingent of Federals set out for Glasgow, and the other for Lexington. The commanders of the separate units were not in communication with each other. Late in the evening of their second day, both leaders sent scouting parties towards Glasgow. Said the newspaper report, the parties met in the woods a short distance from where the boats were lying. Mistaking each other for enemies, they commenced firing. And for some 10 or 15 minutes, the firing was incessant. Before they found out their mistake, 3 troops of the 18th and 1 of the 22nd were killed, and 7 or 8 were wounded. So even back then, we had friendly fire.